Was 80s hair metal the best era of rock and roll? The annals of history and a whole bunch of emails and cool messages. All that and more today on The Number 2 Show. Hey, you toilet paper monkeys, you stall hangers, you doo-doo heads, whatever it's going to be. I don't know if we'll ever decide what the fans of this show. I think when the shit hits the fans is also a good one. But you know what? Who knows? We're going to come up with something that's really going to catch on. And if not, maybe we just use them all. Because guess what, guys? On The Number 2 Show, there are no rules. This is The Number 2 Show, and I am your host, Rafe Williams, the only live or recorded talk show, for that matter, live from a bathroom stall from my handy-dandy diaper-changing station desk with my totally real plant and cup, and I am ready to entertain you on today's Number 2 Show. I appreciate everybody checking in on the chat. You can call us, too, on the Papa Squad hotline. It's 818-532-1420. That's 818-532-1420. And like magic, it will appear on screen now. Here we go. Bam. Look at that. I'm a Wiccan. You can call in right now if you want to talk to me and Scott Rizzuto about something, or you can call in later in the show during Tank Talks. But right now, I want to get to the first segment because my time is limited. Please, let's get this show rolling with the segment I like to call 15 Minutes with Riz. Scott Daniel Rizzuto, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
In post, we'll put in a whole bunch of claps, standing ovation, dude.
Hello. I like when the shit hits the fans. That actually had me chuckling.
Good. When the shit hits the fans, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna write that down.
Write that down. That's good.
It's we have a contender. When shit hits the fans.
And thank you for the applause. I appreciate that.
That was nice. I actually didn't expect him to do that.
Nice.
Our boy Zane, the number one producer in the biz.
Yep. The number one producer for The Number 2 Show.
Number one producer for Number 2 Show. You guys can't see his feet, but he is wearing Crocs in two-wheel drive today. I don't love that. We're going to have a post meeting about what's allowed, what footwear is allowed.
Now we just put the
put him in four-wheel drive, guys.
In
You can't see my producer right now, but he just kicked his
Crocs
in four-wheel drive. So this show is about to be
now it's business.
It's about to be, as the kids say, fucking lit. Okay.
I don't think any kids are saying that now.
Oh, they're saying it. Kids were saying in 2008. Yeah, they are.
In 2008, if we took time machine back, the kids
are saying it. Riz, how you feeling today, buddy?
I'm all right, man. If I sneeze a couple times, I don't know what's going on with me.
Allergies, man.
Like just killing me. Just sneezing like crazy.
It's allergy season. If you're out there and you're you're hiving up, you're coughing, you're sneezing, it's not COVID. It's pollen.
Hey, good thing we're on a toilet stall because we got
some TP.
Got some TP.
It's actually
great.
Yeah, we're full service, dude. If you need to drop trowel, go ahead.
I may.
I actually hooked your toilet up.
Yeah, great.
Man, if you guys want to call in and chat, feel free. If you got something for me and Riz to chop it up about, you need some advice, call in. But right now, I want to talk to my boy about something I know we both love. We've touched on it a little bit, but man, I finished the documentary Nothing But a Good Time.
Right? Was it not great?
Brother, let's talk about it. Dude, I loved it so much. It was such a, to get you guys up to speed, Nothing But a Good Time is a 3-part docuseries on Paramount Plus about the rise and fall of 80s hair metal.
Uh-huh.
And dude, I make no apologies, man. I love that music. I think that music...
Me too.
I think that music produced some of the greatest classic hits in rock, even though I know... And I love that it's having a resurgence. It's almost like it took a little time to get its respect.
Yes. And just so you know, so I've heard all the 80s excess stories before. We've all seen Behind the Music.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we all know the stories, but these were like new stories.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff that I never heard of before.
Yeah, just
coming from the artists themselves. And listen, the first record I ever bought was Def Leppard's Hysteria.
Yeah.
All right, followed by Poison's Open Up and Say Ah.
Mm-hmm. Which I would just...
my wheelhouse.
That was.
Back when I was, 10 10 years old, 11
Who do
years
you
old.
think the trifecta of hair bands was?
Oh, dude. Poison, Def Leppard, Motley Crue.
I would say Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Poison.
See, man, Guns N' Roses, yes, they were. I mean, look at the first video for Welcome to the Jungle. Axl's hair was high.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's all teased out.
It was high. They were a little darker. Like, they were a little more, they weren't, it wasn't all just good time party music. They were making a little darker tones.
Yeah, because if you take the record, if you take Appetite for Destruction as a whole, which I think is still the best-selling debut rock album of all time, if you take it as a whole, yeah, I mean, you got your kind of hair metal songs, your Sweet Child of Mine power ballad, but if you listen to, like, Mr. Brownstone, It's So Easy, I don't think that's really in the same vein of Poison.
Yeah. But you know what? Poison might be my favorite. Here, a little factoid before you came into the room. How old are you, Zane? 24? Our 24-year-old producer said, hey, I pulled up that guy. I go, what guy? And he goes,
What guy?
Poison. That guy, Poison. The guy,
Bret Michaels?
And I go, he thought Poison was a guy. And and then he goes, well, I thought it was the guy's album. He's like, he goes, Poison's not the band. Poison's the name of an album.
Like
and I go,
Drake?
Yeah. Yeah, he thought Poison there was just a dude named Poison who was making, and I'm like, man, I forget. I am slowly realizing that I am my producer's crazy uncle who is exposing him to, I mean, he had to film me at a nudist resort. We talk about stuff where he's like, I've never heard that term before. And I'm like, I am your uncle that your mom does not want you hanging out with.
Dude, Poison, come on. Can you name all the members?
Bro. Me?
Brett Michaels.
CeCe DeVille, who's insane.
Bobby Dahl on bass.
Bobby Dahl.
And Ricky Rocket.
Ricky Rocket, which is the coolest.
Coolest drummer name. Come on, man.
If you're going to have a drummer, it's got to be Ricky Rocket. In fact,
with 2 Ks, by the way.
While we're talking about Poison, dude, because here's the thing. I'm going to show a quick part of the clip of the Nothing But a Good Time preview of the doc. So let's go ahead and share my screen. I'm just going to show the first part of it.
In the 80s, it was an exciting time.
So people know what we're talking about.
Amazing.
That's Poison right there. That's Brett.
Go all the way. More hair, more clothes, tighter pants. That is what rock and roll is about.
Hell yeah.
This heavy metal music, is all of it bad?
To me, they're all satanic. I don't want anything to do with it.
That kid's face is hilarious.
On tour, every human depravity came out.
He's throwing meat and blood at the audience.
Yeah.
I wanted to play so hard that my hands would bleed. I would have blood on my snare all the time.
Poison, Def Leppard, Quiet Riot, Skid Row, Great White, Motley Crue.
I think he was talking about throwing meat on the crowd. I think that was Wasp.
It was.
They made it seem so awesome.
That's right, Steve-O was in it too.
It was nothing but a good time, not the f***ing life I live.
I feel like I'm going to die, so I probably shouldn't be in this band.
When you have that level of dominance, there's nowhere else really to go.
So this is the doc, and I don't want to play the whole thing. I just wanted to play like a quick minute of it because it gets into the rise and fall of how quick hair metal ascended to the top of the charts, that it got so big it had nowhere to go, and then it just was gone overnight. And they reference Poison as like the last, they did a live show where CeCe DeVille was so fucked up at the end of the last episode. There's 2 things that I found interesting. Slash from Guns N' Roses auditioned to be in the band Poison, which is wild to me.
Yes, and was rejected
by Bret Michaels.
Oh, man, yeah.
Bret Michaels wanted Slash. The other guys wanted CeCe DeVille, and that is why CeCe DeVille always had a grudge against Bret Michaels, which came to fruition after they had been on top forever at the live MTV Music Awards. He was so fucked up, he played the wrong song.
And unplugged his guitar on stage accidentally.
Stepped on his own plug. And were they supposed to play Unskinny Bop, like their new hit? And he played like a totally different song, right?
He played Talk Dirty to Me.
Yeah. And they just had to go with it because it was live. And then he and Bret Michaels got into a fist fight live on camera, side stage in front of Arsenio Hall, and Cindy Crawford.
Yeah. Who are the hosts?
Who are the hosts? Broke each other's nose, knocked each other's teeth out, and they were the last, because at that time Guns N' Roses had broken up, Motley Crue had broken up. The three-headed monster of hair metal bands that were still together were Poison, and that was the night they decided to split. CeCe DeVille had to go to rehab, and they're saying that's the night that hair metal died.
Well, also, Nevermind comes out. Nirvana's Nevermind comes out.
100%.
And, that seems to be that's the new thing. And bands like Def Leppard are playing state fairs. And what's crazy is they go, from arenas and stadiums to playing state fairs and bowling alleys. And then they're back to playing stadiums again. I just saw Def Leppard and Journey at Busch Stadium this summer, and the place was packed.
Yeah, I love that it's come back around to where it's like getting respect now, dude. Because, man, I'll be honest, and I'd forgotten about this video, and I'm going to play it for you. Because this sent me down a path of, like, I was a huge Poison fan. I'm a Poison apologist. I loved that band. I loved the music. I think it deserves respect. Bret Michaels is a consummate frontman. When you see him, he's always give it up for the troops. The best-looking ladies are in St. Louis. Every time me and the boys came to town, we always said the best-looking girls are in St. Louis, Missouri. Whatever town he's in, he panders. Give it up for the troops.
Oh, yeah. Well, do you think Bret Michaels leaves his house without the bandana and the makeup? Nobody's ever seen Bret Michaels out of that gear, out of that costume he's wearing all the time.
That's
true.
He
is the consummate front man. No matter what time of day it is, no matter where he is, he's got the bandana on. His goatee's always looking sweet, the flavor saver.
Yeah, it's sweet. And I'd forgotten about, this is when music videos, dude, were, the name of the documentary is Nothing But a Good Time. So I looked up the actual music video for Nothing But a Good Time. Do you remember it?
I'm sure if I saw it, I would.
You're about to see it, so hold on to your hats. For those of you listening, I would say go and watch the video, because this is back when videos it's the Wild West. They didn't know what constituted a music video yet. And this is like, they kind of had a movie quality to them. A lot of people were taking it almost like a scene from a movie. And here is Poison's.
And there were storylines and...
Yeah, there's like a kid washing dishes, long hair. His boss is about to come in and jump his ass.
Hey, you! I told you before. I'm paying you to wash dishes, not to listen to that.
Hey,
that
you!
rock and roll.
The long-haired.
I got a whole restaurant full of people out there.
Yeah.
You're moving in 2 speeds. Slow.
Look at you with long hair.
You either get your butt in gear or you're out of here. Get it? Move!
Yeah, dickhead boss. What's this kid gonna do? He's gonna kick the freezer door open, and guess who's out there?
Hell yeah.
Woo! What? That's CGI,
DeVille. Ricky Rocket.
Dude, this was CGI before. Look at that. Woo, yeah! Sweet!
Yeah, we jump off high stuff in slow motion.
This is
So it look cool.
There's Bret with no bandana, dude. Bret when he had hair.
Yeah, his full hairline.
Sliding across their knees.
Look at that hair.
This song rips, dude.
We saw Bret Michaels over 4th of July. Every day. Playing a 4th of July festival out in the town of O'Fallon, Missouri. Small little place.
What does this hat say? Beverly Hills Cab? He's got a cab driver's hat on, dude. What a cool dude.
They
All right,
opened
you can
with
take it
this.
out. Yeah?
And it really was, truly, nothing but a good time.
It is nothing but a good time.
That's what that music's all about. Nothing serious about getting laid, drinking, maybe doing some drugs.
Yeah.
And then doing it the next day again.
You know, they interviewed Corey Taylor a lot in this documentary, and he said it best. He's like, if you don't think this music is good, fuck you. Because he's like, And he even said, he goes, there's a reason that emo shit went out too. He's like, it got too serious. He's like, everything, you know, there was a guy in the documentary who goes, this is what the music industry does. They take a good thing and they beat it to death and they ruin it.
Listen, I understand, you know, music evoking emotion and the writer talking about their feelings, but I don't want that all the time.
Well, that was what Corey Taylor was saying. He goes, sometimes you just want a song about holding the chick's hand and trying to kiss her and maybe slip your hand up her skirt at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You know, like, nothing wrong with that. Drinking some Bacardi and having a good time. Like,
absolutely.
That's a part of life too. And honestly, that, you know, the thing that happened was they talked about how everything became a copy of a copy of a copy. Like, by the third generation, Bret Michaels, which was a band called Tough, this guy looked just like him, but the music wasn't as good, you know, like, and it just became like a watered down version of itself. It
became more about the image than the actual songs and musicianship.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, for all, you know, the hairspray those guys used, they were incredible musicians.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And it's like, think about a world, an alternate universe where Slash joins Poison. Do we even have a Guns N' Roses? Do you know what I mean? Like, when you hear, I love hearing stuff like that where I'm like, what would have happened if Slash influenced Poison's music? Who knows? Maybe they're still together. Maybe they're still rocking and rolling. I can't imagine Slash without Axl or Axl without Slash.
I'd like to butterfly effect that.
Yeah.
See what that all leads to.
Somebody's in the chat saying, I love this for you, but it's the lamest dudes playing as cool guys.
What do you mean, like the 80s musicians?
Yeah, I guess that's what he's saying, but I'm like, I don't know, man. What makes them lame?
It was a time and a place, and man, if you jumped off something high in slow motion on video with sparks flying in the background, to me as an 11, 12-year-old, damn, dude, that looked cool.
It was cool, man. And honestly, that was the convergence of a lot of the hair metal stuff, man, was the convergence of, you know, video killed the radio star. MTV was huge at the time. MTV, you get your video on MTV then, it'd make or break you.
Hey, how about guys trying to look cool? Those guys were getting laid all the time. It worked.
All the time. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe some of them were lame. I like to think Axl and Slash were cool dudes. Bret Michaels seems like a cool guy. I'd hang out with him. He seems like a cool dude.
The stories they told about Motley Crue,
wild. Motley Crue used to bite people, draw blood, and they caused a fight. They said that David Lee Roth and Tommy Lee were standing on a table in a hotel doing karate moves on each other.
Yeah, man.
Does that sound lame to you, dude? Because it doesn't sound lame to me. It sounds cool as hell to me.
God, you wish there were cell phones back then with the cameras.
Yes.
Also, that, you know, in those days, those guys are free to do whatever they wanted to do without cameras being everywhere.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff I don't think would happen today.
No, there would definitely be a lot of, well, they talk about that, like the misogyny was crazy, but it was like,
no doubt.
That was kind of like, that's what worked in music videos. Like if you had a hot chick getting wet on something, whether a sprinkler system, she was washing a car, they're like, that video was going to #1.
And they talked about Cherry Pie from Warrant. I mean, in the video, Bobby Brown is the girl who's super hot.
Yeah.
The guys in Warren are spraying her down with a hose, like a fire hose.
Oh, yeah.
And they throw a slice of cherry pie in her lap. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty on the nose.
On the nose.
Yeah. Tawny Katane in the Whitesnake video.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. She got to host America's Funniest People because of that video.
Yeah.
Helped her out immensely.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Rafe. I did as well.
I loved it. I thought it was cool. You know, and it was interesting to see, like, the way the grunge movement, like, they were basically Pearl Jam and Nirvana just came in and ended it overnight. There was one band that they got their video canceled in the middle of making their video because the record execs were like, this is over.
Yeah, in the middle of making the video.
There were 10,000 bands in L.A. So my question to you, Scott Rizzuto, is...
Yes, you have 1 minute.
If you could be... This is perfect rap. You can be... You, Scott Daniel Rizzuto, can be in one hair metal band from the 80s.
At its height, at its peak.
At its height. And you got to take into account where they're at now. If there's, resurgence, which band would you choose and why?
Are we considering Guns N' Roses an 80s hair metal band?
I think so. I think more.
Throw me in Guns N' Roses.
You're going GNR.
First of all, I love the music.
Whose place are you taking?
Well, Izzy Stradlin is not in the band anymore. But if it were Scott Rizzuto in the place of Izzy Stradlin, dude, he was the coolest.
Okay.
He was the coolest in Guns N' Roses.
So what instrument would that put you on?
He was the rhythm guitarist.
Okay, so you don't even want to be the front man or the guitarist. You just
want
to be in.
Yeah.
You just want to play the triangle for Guns N' Roses.
Dude, the front man, that's a lot of work, a lot of pressure.
True.
The lead guitarist, a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The rhythm guitarist, man, you want to be up front, you can be up front. You want to step back a little bit, you can step back a little bit. You want to run around? Fine. If you just want to stay there, stand and shoegaze, you can do that too. And just look cool doing it. Look brooding. I just want to look brooding and play my instrument, get all the benefits of being in a big band.
Yeah. GNR was short-lived. That's the downside. I guess they are playing music now, technically. So you would have a resurgence now.
I would be back. Listen, those guys made a ton of money off those first 3 records they put out.
They did.
So they didn't have to work.
That's true.
So they were comfortable. And now they're back doing stadiums again.
So not the Crue. I thought you'd say Motley Crue. I'll be honest. That was where I thought your head was going to go.
Those guys were so crazy out of hand. I mean, Nikki Sixx died and was thrown in a dumpster because he overdosed on heroin. That seems to be too much. That's a little too much for me.
A little too hot and heavy for you.
Yeah, the biting people and, I don't know. That's too much. I'd rather be the Izzy Stradlin of Guns N' Roses.
All
Just
right.
be the cool guy.
We're locking it in.
Lock it in. Rafe, what about you?
Riz is Guns N' Roses. Man, the GNR is tempting. I feel like Poison's still... I feel like those guys aged the best out of all of them. Or at least Brett. Because he stayed out. Maybe it was because he was on insulin and he couldn't do all the drugs.
Yeah, he couldn't do all the drugs.
But that seemed like a pretty fun band to be in. And I feel like they had a good run. They were part of the... Poison just seemed like a good time, man. That seemed like... I know CC DeVille was out of control, but it seemed like everybody else was, for that time, all of those hair bands were insane. But for that time, it seemed like I could exist. I could, gravitate towards Brett. I could play the Brett role. Maybe I come in as CC, and we keep it a little more chill in the band.
Yeah. Keep it going.
Give me CC's hair, and I'll just do way less heroin.
Yeah.
And the band stays together. And I feel like Poison's still crushing it, man. They still get out there, and Brett's still getting booked at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they're still making money, doing their thing. I think those guys are set.
We'd have done Rock of Love together as a duo. I would have had so much fun on that show. That guy was just getting late. That guy got to turn a show into what everyone wants The Bachelor to be but can't. Because The Bachelor's for female viewership who they want to see people looking for love. But Brett's like, what if I just wanted to get laid the whole time, though? And we did it that way.
And VH1 paid me to do it.
Yeah. And he really opened the floodgate of what if we don't get married and we just fuck constantly? And that's a cool guy. That's the band I want to be in.
That's the dream, guys.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Rafe.
All right, man.
Good seeing you, buddy.
Yeah. Good chatting. Riz is out of here. He quit the show again. He quits every time around the same time. I've noticed he walks out, but he's always back, so who cares? That concludes the segment I like to call 15 Minutes with Riz. We're talking 80s hair metal. If you want to call in, the number is 818-532-1420. That's 818-532-1420. We'll be back after a word from our sponsor, Heroin. Sponsoring 80s hair metal since 1980. Heroin. All right, and we are back. Thank you to our sponsor, Black Tar Heroin. Sponsoring 80s hair metal since 1979. I actually had the date wrong. It started in 79. Thank you, Black Tar Heroin. Kids, please don't do Black Tar Heroin. I might have to cut this out of the pod. I don't know. That's probably going to bury me in the algorithm a little. But that's fine. I get it. I'm edgy. I'm in a bathroom at a punk rock club right now. Trust me, drugs have been done in this stall. Grow up, algorithm. Grow up, okay? Thank you. All right, guys. Riz is out of here. It's time for the second segment of the show, and it is a little segment that I like to call the Annals of History.
From the Annals of History.
Man, somebody just dropped, before we get into that, somebody just dropped a cool question in the chat. They said, Rafe, what was the name of your 80s hair metal band? What would it be called if I started my own? I think it would be, there were so many names that were taken back then. They were saying even in this documentary, they were running out of names. The Bullet Boys, the Bullet Guys, they were like, everybody was a copy of a copy. I think the Fleshy Members would be a cool one. Now, I will admit to you that was taken. I used to work for my uncle at the DuQuoin State Fair. All right, and those of you can look up, it's like many state fairs. The DuQuoin State Fair, speaking of the annals of history, let's get into my history. Let's go back, way back, to the late 90s, where I was employed by my uncle's company. We would go into the grandstand after these bands played. So usually state fairs, you catch people on the way up or on the way down. You don't usually get them at their peak. You get New Kids on the Block on the way up when they got one hit boy band, and you get them on the way down when they're trying to figure shit out late 89. Okay? Same thing happened. You don't get Joe Diffie at his peak. You get Joe Diffie when he's got one hit, and you get Joe Diffie when in the middle 2000s, okay? R.I.P. Joe Diffie, excellent artist, wonderful guy, wonderful, lot of hits. And I believe I went to it was a Quiet Riot, Bullet Boys. God, there was one more. There was like a lot of these 80s hair bands would get packaged up in the 90s to do state fairs. And it was Quiet Riot, Bullet Boys. Damn, who was the other one? It wasn't Def Leppard. Let's just say it was Quiet Riot and Bullet Boys because I can't remember. It might have been Nelson, if you guys remember the twins that used to sing, the blonde-headed twins. They were Ricky Nelson's kids. But the roadie, I would clean the grandstands with like one of those, just like a leaf blower. We'd blow all the trash out. My uncle owned like a company that did contracts on stuff like that. Not the best job in the world, but I'd find some crazy stuff up there. Sometimes I'd find money. Sometimes I'd find weed. Sometimes I would find disgusting things that I would never want to touch. But that's not the point. The point is, this band played, we were cleaning up after one of these 80s hair metal package shows, and the roadies came out, the guys packing them up, and, they played a song. They played for us while we were cleaning up. They let the roadies, play after they were done. So before they put the instruments away, these roadies came out, and this guy was like, "What up, grandstand workers? We are the Fleshy Members, and this song is called Crack Pipe." And the dude started playing a riff, and he was like, "Crack pipe, da-da-da-da. It was a hot night, da-da-da-da. And I was wound tight, da-da-da. And the crack pipe was burning my thumb." And I was like, fuck, dude, that's a hit, brother. I don't know what happened to those guys, but man, that song, if it's out there, if someone can find me Crack Pipe, It was a hot night. These guys, it had a killer riff. It was edgy. They were ahead of their time. So whoever these roadies were, they said they were the Fleshy Members, and I was like, what a cool band name. I would have probably stolen that and made that my 80s band name, because I was like, everything was sexual innuendo back then. You come out as the Fleshy Members, parents are going to lose their fucking mind on that, dude. Wherever those guys are, Crack Pipe, it was a hot night. I salute you, because that was a hit that the world never got to hear until today. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get lucky and somebody will know it exists out there, because I would love to hear it. I would love to put that in my workout playlist, because, dude, if I'm doing some Hungarian squats to Crack Pipe, trust me, dude, I'm getting swole. So one of the things I want to talk about today, and you guys can chime in on this, or, oh, do I have a call? I got a caller. I'll get to them in a second. You know what? I'm going to take this call, and then we'll see. Then I'm going to get into my little thing I prepared because I want to get some of the viewers' opinions on this and some of the live viewers, as well as if you're listening on Spotify, whatever your drug of choice is to consume the number 2 show, leave a comment, and I look at those and I use them for future shows. So feel free to leave a comment. If there's something interesting you want to talk about or want to expound on. But right now I'm going to take this call and see what's up, see who's calling in, and if I deeply regret it, we'll just cut it out. That's how we do it, dude. You're live on the number 2 show with the lead singer of the Fleshy Members, Rafe Ding Dong Williams. What can I do for you?
Rafe, it's Chris from Canada calling you back again. How are you, brother?
Chris from Canada, how are you doing?
Great. I got such a kick out of your response in that accent. Funny story, I actually grew up in a town called Scotland in Ontario, Canada.
Get the fuck out of here. For those of you that are just tuning in, this is Chris from Canada. We have chatted before. They left a message, and I said I did a perfect Canadian accent, in which case I do a perfect Canadian accent. It sounds just like this. They play the bagpipes, and you're saying you actually grew up in a town called Scotland, Ontario.
Yeah.
That's insane. Why is it called Scotland, Ontario?
That's just the name of it. It's in southern Ontario on the edge of Norfolk County by Lake Erie, and it was Scotland.
You got to be shitting me. So it wasn't like founded by Scots. There wasn't Scottish ancestry there. It's just good as name as any.
That's just the town.
That's funny because I'm from Southern Illinois, and we have a town spelled Venna, which is Vienna, but we call it Vienna because we're hillbillies. And we just took a sexy city and we just rednecked it to death.
Well, Scotland, Ontario, Canada is a pretty hillbilly redneck little town.
How big was Scotland, Ontario, Canada?
Probably about 1,200 people, maybe. We had a gas station and a little restaurant and a lumber yard and a lot of tobacco farms back in the 80s.
Okay. Now, are you still live in Canada? I heard a little bit of I heard it, finally. You said about. I heard it. I finally heard it.
Yeah, I'm in Amish country now, sort of towards Grand Bend, Owen Sound area, which is kind of heading up to northern Ontario.
Whoa. Now, Ontario is pretty sparsely populated. Is this true? Or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, compared to we have a lot of land and a lot less people than some areas of the world. All
right. Well, what are you doing? Let me ask this, Chris. What's Amish country like up there? What are you doing up there? You making like artisan wooden dildos, or what's going on?
Butter, it's beautiful. Actually, we pass horses and buggies on the road. A lot of our stores, our grocery stores and stuff, actually have tie rails for them to tie their horse and buggy to while they do their grocery shopping. And roadside stands, get fresh eggs and meat, and
wow,
it's really beautiful.
You're not Amish, right?
Sort of like No.
Because when they hear this, they're going to be pissed.
What's that show? The ex-Amish there? No.
Yeah. You ever catch them dressed in English? You ever catch them out? And you're like, hey, you're dressed English right now. I'm going to tell your mom and dad. I'm going to send a pigeon to your mom and dad.
When I was a kid, I used to travel with the rodeo folks and barrel race and ride horses. And we had a lot of the guys that used to follow the rodeo were the ex-Amish. They were in their Wrangler jeans and their cowboy shirts, and they were living their best life with us crazy rodeo kids.
Yeah, you ever bang an Amish? You ever dip your toe? Did you see like a cowboy's butt drive you nuts and one of them Amish boys? Like, who are they going to tell,
Well, no, never had that opportunity.
Well, you're in Amish country. I mean, who knows? Rumspringa. Do they do Rumspringa? Is that a thing? You could be somebody's Rumspringa.
There's like 4 or 5 different types of colonies here. There's Amish, and there's Mennonite, and there's Hutterite, and then there's the Mexican Mennonites, and everybody's all a little different.
Mexican Mennonites. I did not know that was a thing. Mexican Mennonites in Canada. Now that's a party I'd go to. That is a quinceañera where the gifts are going to be handmade and quality.
Yes. Yeah, they make some good tacos too.
So what do you do up there in Canada, Chris, when you're – first of all, I would appreciate it moving forward if you would try to force – well, you see Amish people in town, if you try to force them to watch at least a portion of the show on your devil's handheld device known as a cell phone and see if we can convert a few of these people into going English, if you will.
I will try my best.
That's all I need. All I'm asking is get me in touch with these Mexican Mennonites. I don't know how you get a hold of them. Do their horse and buggies have like a hydraulic system on them? Do they drop? When a Mexican Mennonite pulls up, is he like, "What's up, Issy?" And like the horse's ass like drops down and pops up like the horse is popping and locking on his carriage? Because that'd be sick as hell.
Around here, the Mexican Mennonites drive BMWs.
Oh, okay. So they're a little lax on the Mennonite rules. I like that. That's cool.
The only ones that really drive the horse and buggy around here are the Amish.
Yeah.
Some of the Mennonite colonies can drive a vehicle as long as it's all black. There's no chrome.
What about the Mexicans? They're putting chrome on it, right? They're chroming out.
Oh yeah, they're blinged right out.
Yeah, Mexicans make everything cooler, dude. Mexican and Spanish folk, Latino folk make everything fucking cooler. That's awesome.
They got the best. They got the best moonshine.
Best moonshine? Got to have the best taco truck, right?
You got to get that from the Mennonites.
I mean, do they even have taco trucks in Canada?
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Actually, I'm a street food vendor. That's what I do up here in Canada.
You are? What kind of?
Yeah, I'm a hot dog lady. I show people my wiener for a living.
Nice. You glory hole it. So that's what you do in Canada. You're a hot dog vendor in Canada.
I am, yeah. I travel with the Renaissance festivals.
Get the fuck out of here. You do?
I do.
Do you dress up? When people try to pay with a credit card, do you like, what is this black magic you're trying to use? You must pay in shillings.
Well, there's different people, different tribes of people that follow the Renaissance Festival. So you have your Vikings, and you've got your Civil War reenactors, and you've got your English-style folks, and then we identify as pirates.
Yeah. You got a couple people that try to force Star Wars into the mix, too, I bet, don't you?
Yeah, we get Darth Vader and all the different stuff there. But
I went to a Ren Fair here. I went to a Ren Fair here, and it's always, it's a lot of white people in the forest dressing up like different eras of history that only white people would have had a comfortable life in, usually. And that's okay.
Exactly.
That's totally fine. It's them, and then a couple of people say fuck it and come as a Star Wars character. There's usually one Chewbacca. So it's just like, I don't care, I'm doing it. And then I saw one black guy dressed up as Skeletor. It blew my mind. I didn't know what that guy was doing there. I assume some sort of undercover work on some sort of thesis on how crazy white people are. I don't know what he was doing there, but God bless him.
So they have down to study us.
Dude, I am fascinated by you. I want to have you back on as a guest.
Well,
this is fascinating.
I'm happy to do that.
I would love it. I'm just excited. I have a listener in Canada. I'm excited that honestly, if I were to be like, who sounds like the nicest human being on earth? I'm like, I have a friend who's 1, Canadian, 2, a hot dog vendor, 3, a hot dog vendor that follows Renaissance fairs around. Like, come on. What a life. How long have you been doing that for?
Right.
How long have you done that for?
So as my own company, I've been on my own for 3 years, and probably for around the last 8 years, I've been kind of in the business. I had a business partner before that.
All right. How many trucks you running? How many Wienermobiles you running?
I have one hot dog cart, like the street cart, and then I have a food trailer where I do all sorts of crazy food creations.
What kind of crazy food creations? You've piqued my interest. Give me give me your top 3 food creations that you're making up there in Ottawa.
So we have Big Daddy's Meat Wagon, and that is a 8-ounce hamburger patty, an inch thick cut slice of smoked bologna, female bacon, strip bacon, cheese on a Kaiser bun.
Oh, what kind of cheese? Sorry, I just had an orgasm.
The American cheddar.
American cheddar. Yeah, seems like Canada doesn't want anything to do with America till it's cheese time.
Right?
That sounds amazing. What's that called? Big Daddy's Smoke Wagon?
Big Daddy's Meat Wagon.
Big Daddy's Meat Wagon. Woo, woo, woo. Here it comes. All right, that's one. What's the other two? It's hard to beat that one.
Corn on the cob's in season here. So recently we just did, we take a corn, we dip it down into some nacho cheese sauce. We cover it with crushed Doritos, sour cream, jalapenos, and any other crazy toppings from like hot peppers and olives to salsa and onions.
I bet the Mexican Mennonites go crazy for that, don't they?
Yes, they do like that one.
Yeah.
And then I guess our most popular item, it's kind of basic, but we do a great big huge smoked Polish sausage on a bun. It's about a 9-inch sausage, and it's really, really girthy, and that gives me the basis for most of my jokes and my humor when I'm trying to sell people my sausage.
Hey, who wants to suck that girthy 9? I feel you. And the answer is Rafe Williams. That's the answer to that question.
My favorite pickup line on the sausage cart is I point to a real machismo-looking dude, and I say, hey, you look like a fella that can handle a big sausage.
Nice. You got to have a good pickup line. That's amazing. You seem like such a cool person. Your message was sweet. I feel grateful to have you as a fan, and now I feel like a friend. I really do. The one thing I would ask is, what do the Amish folk, do you get like meat from, because I feel like the Amish meat's probably high quality from these Amish farms. Do you get that? Or will they partake if the Amish come into town and you're selling the meat wagon? Are they in on that? Or will they only buy out of a buggy?
No, I've seen the Amish sitting down at the Indian restaurant having buttered chicken.
Canada's so chill.
Right.
They're really reaching across the aisle. That's a global meal for an Amish person. Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
well,
it is.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was going to say it's really it makes my heart smile when I drive down the road and I see so many different cultures and people from different countries, and everybody just has one goal, and that's just to have a content, peaceful, happy life out here in the country. And you know, the Amish folks are going and patronizing the other establishments and stuff, and the other people are going and patronizing their establishments, and everybody's just it's just a harmonic experience.
Really?
And it makes my heart happy.
That makes my heart happy. That's actually interesting to hear you say that. So it's not as, I would say, compartmentalized, or it's not as closed off as it might be because a lot of times the Amish community in the United States, they live off the grid. They keep to themselves. You would say up there it's a little more, there's a lot of inclusivity and trading amongst different cultures, it sounds like.
Yeah, and this is kind of there's a touristy area up here too. We have this big farmers market. It's called the St. Jacobs Farmers Market. So it's thousands of vendors, so it pulls people from all over. So I think that gives all the cultures the opportunity there to interact with each other in that setting. And then it kind of, I think maybe it breaks down those different barriers that people might have misconceived notions of how they kind of function. And it's a really unique place to live. I've lived in other cities and places, and definitely a different vibe here than I've had in a lot of places.
That's cool. Well, congratulations. Now, are you a solo mission? You got partner, kids? Where are you at there?
No kids. I got 3 dogs and a partner. We actually met you on the Tammy cruise.
You did?
And yeah.
Why the fuck didn't you lead with that?
I did the last time on my other
I guess
message.
I forgot. I'm sorry. So we met on, you went on the Tammy cruise, huh? You talk about a blending of cultures. I saw more
That
cultural
was a
titties than I've ever seen in my life on that cruise.
Right, and my boyfriend that I brought there, he didn't follow a lot of the content and stuff, so that was a real big eye opener for him.
My question is, does he now, or is he just like, okay, we did that, I'm moving on with my life?
No, he wants to go back on the next one.
Okay, now did he not follow us because he's a Mexican Mennonite, or is it because he just didn't follow the content?
No, just that he's a construction worker. He doesn't have time to be on his phone, so he doesn't play a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. But I've got him hooked on the number 2 show.
Great.
And I've got him hooked on a couple other ones. So
I feel like the Riz show's right up his alley for the old. That's usually my guys. Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, tell me what kind of dogs you got, and then I'm dropping this call. What do you got? What are we working with?
Well, I got a 13-year-old. He's a mix of a Rottweiler and a Mastiff. And I've got a 4-year-old Jack Russell. And then I've got a 10-year-old, and she is part Corgi and part Chihuahua.
You're all over the place, kid. Well, congrats to you, your partner, and all your dogs. This has been our Canadian field correspondent. Sign off real quick as my Canadian field correspondent.
This is Chris from Canada signing off, wishing you all the greatest day ever.
And that's scene. See you later, Chris. What a great, what a sweetie. That's really interesting, man. That's like a thing that wouldn't exist here, you know, like, it's always interesting to hear stories. It's not that far away from us, but, you know, I grew up, there was like a Mennonite community in Percy, Illinois, and this near where I grew up. And I feel like they just kept to themselves. You'd see the buggies, but they didn't get out and really, you know, they'd sell their honey and fruit on the side of the road, but it was never, it never felt like they were integrated into the community in a way that felt totally inclusive. So it's nice to hear that they're up there doing all kinds of white people stuff, man, in Canada. It's wild. They're doing Renaissance fairs. They're at hot dog trucks. You know, we got Mennonites driving BMWs. What a time to be alive. That might be a good place to retire. I want to look into it. I don't know where it's at. Scotland, Ontario, everybody. What a beautiful time. I got a question in the chat. I'm going to look at it and see if I want to read it or not. Rafe, question for you, but how annoying is it for the delay? And when taking the phone calls, I'm sure it's tough to do, especially live, when convos can get misdirected from the delay. It's not that bad. It's not a huge delay for me. There's a little bit. You know, anytime you're on a phone call and you're running it through a board, there's a little bit of a delay, but for the most part, and just be patient and listen. And occasionally I get excited about something and I cut people off and I feel bad for it. But overall, not too bad. Someone says the delay does suck sometimes. Well, I'm sorry that it's not a perfect experience for you on the video call. I literally am sitting on a toilet. I have about $17 budget to fund this entire thing. So I'm doing the best I can, people. I'm taking calls live. She was calling from fucking Canada. That was an international call. We didn't even drop it. Okay? When's the last time you can drive through a dead spot in central Missouri and we'll be done for? So I think overall, yeah, there's a delay. Just fucking deal with it, okay? It's part of the game. Delay of game. Man, I had something I wanted to talk about, but that was such an interesting person. I wanted to keep him on the phone. Let's talk about this. I want to hear you guys' opinion on this, actually. I saw an article about things that are slowly killing us, but we don't care. What is slowly killing you, but you don't care? You can call in 818-532-1420 if you want to chat about it. But I'm interested in it. I'll give you guys a list of things that I found, some curated and some of my own, of things that, you know, obviously some of the answers are our vices: tobacco, alcohol, drugs, food. For me, man, I love food that is destroying my innards. I love it. I love it. And I try to be good, and I've been eating healthier, but man, I love processed food. I love it. I want to lay processed food down. When she was talking about that meat wagon sandwich or whatever, I hard as a rock under this desk. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not proud of it, but I was excited. But here's some other things, and I'm kind of curious where other people lay on this. I'm going to give you a quick list of things that people said were slowly killing them, but might be keeping list of things slowly killing you, but not going to get it out of our lives anytime soon. 1 was binge eating. 2, procrastination. Bro, let me tell you, this one gets me a lot. Not sleeping enough. Fast food, not exercising. Sitting too much. If maybe you're on the toilet and you sit too much. We talked about dead ass syndrome last time we were on this show. Energy drinks. Man, I'm glad I got rid of those out of my life. I was slamming Red Bulls left and right. Social media, obviously. Sugar, specifically Ben & Jerry's. Eating ramen every night. Bacon-wrapped jalapeno poppers. Parenting. Welding, someone said. It's quite literally killing me. Eyesight gotten worse. Black soot and rust blown into my respiratory system on a nightly basis. Someone responded to that. You're supposed to wear a welding mask. So maybe look into that. Processed meat and dating men. Oh, my God, Becky, you did not just go there. You did. What is that a picture of on my screen? I can't even see it. Some guy's burying himself. Blow that up. Make it bigger so I can see it. Just for a sec, if possible. Nice. What's he got in his hand? It's a shovel. The guy's just burying himself. That's going to be me, probably. What a cool way to go. It'll just be me putting Entenmann's Crumb Top Donuts on top of myself until I pass away. Man, I can relate to this list a lot, especially for me, man. Procrastination. I am the king of, I get a lot of shit done. Don't get me wrong. I'm a very productive guy. But I have a bad habit, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but I have a terrible habit of making lists that are so large and incomprehensibly possible to do that I had to like instill a process in my life where I'm like, 3 things, man. You're only responsible to do 3 productive things a day, and everything else is extra. Now, that can be the radio show, can be 1. This show can be 2, because it's a separate thing. And then 1 more thing today, whether it's exercise or meditate or do something that's good for my soul or do something that's good. Maybe it's just return a few emails that I've been. Then I'm off the hook, because the thing that I am so bad about is I'll make a list of like 25 things that there's no way you can get them done in a day. And even if I get 10 of them done, I'm still staring at a list of 15 items that I didn't get done. It makes me feel like a loser. It makes me feel like, I wasn't productive, or I'm not getting shit done. And then I just beat myself up about it. And I read an article. It was like one of the best ways to deal with procrastination was to make a list and put the thing you want to do the least at the top, the biggest thing, and knock that off first. And I try, but I'm really good at like taking the big thing and doing what I like to call productive distractions. Like I'll do things. It just won't be the thing I need to be getting done. I'll be like, you know what? When's the last time somebody cleaned these ceiling tiles, And I'll start pulling fucking drop ceiling tiles out and wiping them down with a damp cloth instead of finishing the script I'm supposed to be working on because I feel creatively stifled. I'm great at that. I'll do the dishes. I'll do something. And I just started being like, you got to give yourself credit for that kind of stuff. I don't know. I feel like procrastination makes us, it takes away from your self-worth. And it makes you feel like you're not a good person. And sometimes you got to unplug and just not do shit. You got to make days where it's like, it's okay to not do something. But I also have a habit of like, in the 11th hour, really putting it together. I was really bad about that when I was younger, but I'm getting better now with procrastination. But it is something that is killing us all. So I say, take it easy on yourselves. Make a list, knock a few things off, and don't feel bad about it. The other one I relate to, obviously not sleeping enough. I mean, I don't even know if my sleep debt is so large. I feel like whatever the United States owes China is what I owe sleep. Like, it has to be a similar debt where I'm like, we're not paying. Come on, guys, come on. There is no gross national product. I would have to sleep from now until I pass away to pay off my sleep debt. So I'll just pay that sleep debt when I pass away. That's the way I look at it. But I've been trying to be better about going to sleep. But, man, it is so hard, especially I've got sleep apnea. I have sleep paralysis. And I have 2 types of insomnia, the kind where you can't fall asleep and the kind where you can't stay asleep. So I'm fighting a battle on 4 fronts here at night. It is band of brothers in my bedroom at night, dude. It is me fighting a sleep demon. If you don't know what sleep paralysis is, just occasionally my brain's like, what if I wake up, but your body is completely paralyzed and it feels like there's a demon sitting on your chest who's trying to take your soul away to hell? And my brain's like, sounds fun to me, and it just does it. And I wake up, and I feel like someone is in my room with me, wants to murder me, is standing at the foot of the bed, intends to kill me and my partner, Tina. I can see her because my brain is fully awake. Because sleep paralysis is a condition where your brain, the part of your brain that affects motor skills and comprehension, is fully awake. And the part of your brain that affects motor skills is asleep, meaning you can't wiggle a toe, you can't move your mouth, your vocal cords are paralyzed, but your eyes are open and you can completely take in and diagnose the world around you. So I am in a state of paralysis where I can only see what is in my eye line. A lot of times I'll be staring right at the person sleeping bed next to me, and I feel like the Tin Man who needs oil. I'm just like, shake me. Wake me up inside. Second show in a row that song's come up. Wake me up inside. I think that song was about sleep paralysis. We should look that up. But it's a terrible, terrible thing. And it is haunting because you'll try to move a toe. I assume something has startled me in the room, an intruder of some sort who's at the foot of the bed getting ready to knife murder us. And I can't protect myself or the person I love. And then when I finally do wake up, your adrenaline it feels like a demon sitting on your chest because your breathing is still shallow, because your motor skills are still asleep, but your heart's beating like 1,000,000 miles a minute because you think someone's in the room. And that's where the sleep demon, someone sitting on your chest, that's what people all over the world report as some sort of a dream phenomenon. A lot of people think they get taken by aliens too. The reason you hear a lot of these alien stories that are like, oh, they were at the foot of my bed, people had sleep paralysis. They think there's someone at the foot of their bed. They go back to sleep and they dream the rest. So I got that. That's one. Then I'm just not breathing a lot of the time. I'm just sucking. I mean, I'm just taking big pauses and my body's just like, just don't breathe for a minute. Take a break, bud. Hey, lungs, take a break. Okay? You're working hard. Let's just let oxygen chill for a minute. And that's not good for you. That doesn't give you restful sleep. And between those 2 things and the anxiety of procrastination and not getting shit done, I have both insomnias too. So lack of sleep, and dude, it has to be having like such a profound, I don't know if you guys have ever stayed up for a couple days before. Things start to get weird. Like sleep is very important to your brain. So I relate to that one hard. Obviously, bacon-wrapped jalapeno poppers. I mean, that goes without saying. It's good for your soul, bad for your butthole. We all know that. Dating men, I can't relate to, but I feel you, sister. Our organization has its problems, okay? We do. Not everything we do is great. Not everything we do is great. We need to get I bring it up at every meeting. Like, men need to get our shit together. So don't give up on us just yet. But just know that it's been noted and that I'll take it to the top of our organization. I'll see what I can get done for you. I think it's very important. Let's see if I got anything in the chat. Those are the things I related to. I just wanted to see what you guys, if there's something in your life, like leave it in the comments. Let me know what's killing you, but you're not going to stop anytime soon. Someone said they've been to Percy, Illinois. There you go. Let's see what we got here. Working midnights. Yeah. Night shift will fuck you up, dude. I did night shift for a while too. And man, I'll be honest, there were times that I'd drive home at 8 o'clock in the morning after working like a midnight shift that the rocks popping under my tire would wake me up. I was like falling asleep behind the wheel of my vehicle. It was not a good situation. And I couldn't sleep during the day. So I'd go home and I'd end up like trying to sleep, end up watching like cartoons until like noon. And it's just like you're basically like a possum, you know? Like you're living a possum's life, dude. And everybody else is living a human being's life, and you're on opossum time. You're on marsupial time, and it fucks with you. Because you're getting up when other people are getting home from work. Like that third shift is no joke, man. It's not something I would recommend doing for a long time. I'll be honest, the radio hours, they're killer. I'm grateful, and I know I'm lucky. But, you know, getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to be at work by 4:30, 5 o'clock, to do a show from 6 a.m. to 10, that's, as a comedian, that messes with my brain sometimes, so I feel you. Somebody says we could die at any moment, so I'll keep living this way for now. All right, well, that's a very brutalist view of the world, but I'm here for you. Someone says they're triggered right now because they're watching this as productive procrastination. Well, don't turn it off. This is productive. This counts. Watching the number 2 show counts as one productive thing for the day, so Roger, you check that off. You hear me? All right. Well, leave me some more comments. Send me voicemails. Let me know some other things that bother you. But right now, that was the list that I had of things that are slowly killing us, but we can't quit them. That concludes the annals of history. We're going to take a quick break. Okay. From word from our sponsor. Procrastination. Why do it now when you can just wait and worry about it later? And we're back. I was going to come back earlier, but I waited for our sponsor, Procrastination. Fuck it. It'll get done eventually. And we're back, and now it is time for a little segment to wrap the show up that I always like to do when I can. This segment is called Tank Talks. All right, welcome to Tank Talks, and that is when I talk to you, either through messages or emails or comments. If you guys are watching an old episode or you're seeing this and it's not live, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment on Spotify, wherever you're imbibing this wonderful, familial, loving podcast that we're doing together. Feel free to send me a message. You can always call 818-532-1420 and leave me a message on the Papa Squad hotline. That was 5 turds going in. And Zane liked that joke. Put his Crocs in 4-wheel drive after I did it. You can always call and leave me a message any hours, and I love hearing from you guys. I love going through these and hearing some of the crazy shit I get at 4 o'clock in the morning. It literally makes my day a better day. But if there's ever anything you need advice about, you want to talk about, you think would be a good topic, hit me up. I'm always open to it. I get some really thoughtful questions sometimes on here. Not always. It's hit or miss. I ain't going to lie to you. But the ones that I get are good or worth the misses. So feel free to hit me up. Like I said, let's call 818-532-1420. I got a caller on right now, so I'm going to start with them, and then I'll get to... Do we not have a caller? All right. Zane looks skeptical. Let's see what's going on here. We're going to find out who's calling in. All right, let's see who we got here. You're live on Tank Talks with your host and spiritual guru, Rafe Williams, and it sounds like you are in one of those wind tunnels at a shoe carnival, hoping to grab a coupon for 20% off your shoes. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Rafe, it's Heroin. I just wanted to say thanks for the shout-out earlier. And you know what's killing me? I stumbled across this fast lane shit on the radio. I heard Stalter, and I lost 12 years of my life. That's all I wanted to say. You're doing a good job, and the family's proud of you, Rafe.
All right. Well, thank you, Heroin, for calling in. I appreciate that. That was the actual drug, black tar heroin. Just calling in and tell me they appreciate my effort. I'm doing a good job. And apparently Heroin doesn't like Anthony Stalter, who is a host of ESPN Radio, and we'll most likely out of context will make no sense to anyone listening to this, but I feel I love him, and I want to have him come in as a guest, and maybe that's a little kick in the ass I needed to have Stalter in here so we can air some grievances and love each other up the correct way. Let's see. I'm going to go to my little... I got a few messages in here. Oh, shit. Hold on. I almost closed my entire computer out. That's okay. Not a big deal. You know, a while back, we talked about revenge stories. Revenge. And I said, call in, specifically in the military. We had a guest on, and he was talking about, you know, we did a lot of weird stuff in the military. Like sometimes, you know, military is very self-regulating. Sometimes you'd be in basic training, or you'd be in, you know, somebody would act up, and the platoon would take it upon themselves to straighten them out. Now, I'm not saying this specific brand of swamp justice is always good. They made an entire movie about it called A Few Good Men, where he said, did you order the code red? And he said, you goddamn right I did. In that kind of situation or nothing. Sometimes it's fun revenge. Like I was in the National Guard, and I will say, honestly, there's still once a year, there's a text thread called the Phantom Shitter. There was a sergeant who was unpopular. He was kind of a not nice. I'm sure he was a fine guy. He just annoying. People didn't like him. He was kind of abrasive. And he would often find himself on the receiving end of revenge pranks of types in our platoon. And one night we were locked inside of the National Guard armory because we were doing an overnight stay, and somebody snuck a few handles of Captain Morgan in, and a few of us got out of control, you know, got a little high on the captain, got some spiced rum in us, and someone took a shit by this guy's head. When I say took a shit by this man's head, I don't mean 10 feet away. I don't mean 5 feet away. I mean inches from this man's head. And when he rolled over and woke up on the cold floor in his sleeping bag in the morning, he had a pile of human feces very close to his face. Now, this is disgusting. I'm disgusted by this. Unfortunately, there were about 4 or 5 of us who had a reputation for being jokesters, pranksters, handfuls, rascals, roustabouts, rapscallions, if you will. And they rounded us all up and took us into a room. And this prank took on very much an SVU story arc, where I felt like we were all being separately interrogated. They were trying to get us to roll over on one another. Like, look, listen, Rafe, we're not saying it was your turd, all right? But we think you know whose turd it was, okay? And the right thing to do, like, they were really trying to Starsky and Hutch me and my friends. And to this day, I'll be honest with you, we don't know who shit. People still, once a year, we check in and we say, is anyone ready to admit? This was in the 90s. Maybe early aughts. This is a 20-year-old prank, and there's still no one will own it. Now, there are suspects. There are people within our group that I favor for this. I will tell you that I did not do it. I was wrongly accused as one of the 5. Usual suspect style, rounded up. I was not the Kaiser Soze of this doo-doo. I can tell you that. But we were all rounded up, and eventually, my friend, who we lovingly referred to as Twink, he scooped up the human shit onto it, because they came to our table while we were eating breakfast, and the sergeant tried to, like from a movie, put his knuckles on the table. Now, this is a little tiny guy. He's a sergeant 2 days a month. The other 28 days, I'm pretty sure, he worked at a car wash or something. And he put his knuckles on the table. He's like, listen, boys, one of you guys is going to have to go clean up that shit, because we know one of you guys did it. And I was like, brother, you're out of your goddamn mind. If there are certain orders in the Army I ain't taking. And cleaning up another man's dookie was definitely on the list. So we argued back. This was a standoff and an argument that took up a whole afternoon. This is, by the way, we were all being paid by the government during this. I just want to put that out there. I don't like it any more than you do. There were 150 men whose days were completely wrecked, all getting government pay to solve the case of who shit near the sergeant's head. And eventually, my friend Twink acquiesced, and he went and got a flat shovel, like a snow shovel, and he scooped up the poop. And then he chased several people around the armory with the poop on the end of the shovel. Now, I'm not saying he did it, okay? Because I wouldn't do that. I don't point fingers. Whatever happened, happened. We can't unpoop it. But I will posit the theory. There were a lot of people drunk on Captain Morgan, and Captain Morgan makes you do strange things. The sergeant could have imbibed Captain Morgan and pooped near his own head. Did anyone ever think of that? We don't know. Now, I will say it is a little suspect. If you were willing to acquiesce and scoop the poop, was there a subconscious amount of guilt somewhere in your body that you are the one that did the deed? You did the crime and you're cleaning up the crime scene. You're not Dexter. You don't do forensics. What were you doing on that crime scene, Twink? I don't know. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that's the kind of thing that happens in the military. That's just an example of a prank gone wrong or right. It's pretty funny. And honestly, a couple people could have blacked out. We literally may not know who did it ever because the person who did it may have been so blackout drunk they don't remember doing it at all. I was not blacked out. I was drunk. I'll own that. But Captain Morgan, trust me, at that point in my life, Captain Morgan ain't going to black me out. I was on much harder stuff than that. That was child's play. That's drinking a juice box at that point in my drinking career. So it wasn't me. And I'd own it, especially now. It would fit in great for the show. What a great reveal it would be for me to tell you. It was me all along. And I start walking without a limp like Kaiser Soze while you see a toilet flush in the background and the cop put it all together. That'd be awesome. But that's not how it went down. You know, same guy, same sergeant, being a jerk, yelling at people, had anger management problems, was mean to all of us. He went into a porta potty at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, again on government time. And we duct taped that porta potty shut, and then everybody threw dirt clods and rocks at it for about a half hour. And he got upset. And then he rocked it back and forth, and he dumped the porta potty onto its side on his own and covered himself in the blue poopy water. This guy had, listen, these weren't planned poop assaults. They just happened to be the pranks that worked out at the time. But I'm just saying, these are things to give you a little bit of, just a little bit of a backstory before I played this message for you. I wanted you to know these pranks are not uncommon. These types of military revenge, people getting back at one another, pranks being played, you know. Sometimes it's different. I had a guy throw a smoke, like a CS gas grenade into my tent at 3 a.m. in Fort Sill, and I couldn't get my gas mask on fast, and it sucked. And me and my battle buddy choked our asses off inside our tent. They thought it was hilarious. We come out, it's basically like getting maced. Not fun to do at 3 a.m., but it was fun for the person that threw it in there. These things happen. So now that you know this, I want to play this message for you, okay? This is a message I got from someone and simply titled Military Revenge Shit Story.
Hey, Rifles. My name's Chris. I wanted to say a quick one real quick. In Leonard Wood in basic training, we had a field problem out in the woods. We had to dig fighting positions, foxholes, you know, and a guy apparently didn't like me very much, pissed in my foxhole. It rained. Pee mixed with rain. We had to go diving into our foxhole, so I dived into a big puddle of piss. Ended up finding out about it later, and earlier in the day, the drill sergeant taught us how to make an MRE bomb, where you take the cooker out of the MRE, empty the powder into a Gatorade bottle, mix it with a little bit of water, seal the bottle. It expands in there and eventually explodes and sounds like a 12 gauge going off. I waited till that man who got me good went to a porta potty there in the woods. I made a quick MRE bomb. I dropped it down the chimney tube on top of the porta potty there. and blew liquid blue shit up his back and into his scalp and hair.
Damn.
He fell out of the porta potty, pants around his ankles, covered in such shit and dye, and we all laughed hysterically. I did push-ups for several hours until my arms were made of cooked spaghetti, and the drill sergeant then gave me a cigarette, which I hadn't had in 3 months, and congratulated me on my revenge because everyone hated that piece of shit. Anyway, love you. Bye.
Love you too, bud. Brutal. That's what happens, though, man. And my guess is that guy was being a little twat. Sorry. That's probably not the preferred nomenclature, but that was probably what was happening. And, man, the MRE bomb is an interesting thing. For those of you that haven't been in the military, I'll describe what an MRE is to you. It's meals ready to eat, or sometimes comically referred to as meals resisted by Ethiopians. That's not politically correct, but that's what they were called. And if anything else on this podcast with my friends and fans, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell truths to you, even if those truths, don't come with a candy coating all the time. That's just what they called them. It's not cool. I don't agree with it. That's what they were called. And the last thing you want to do, and when you get your MRE and you're in the military, all of a sudden at lunchtime, wherever you were at turned into the New York City Stock Exchange. Because everyone was trading, dude. It turned into people had slips. Like if you got the Frankfurter MRE, it was 4 hot dogs and the gelatin. It was the most disgusting. You had no leverage, dude. Like if you got the Frankfurter MRE, you honestly, it was you bought GameStop. It was over for you. Like you plummeted. You might as well got an Enron. Not at a good time either. But we were trading jalapeno cheese for peanut butter crackers. It was crazy. But the MREs come with these little, whatever you got, whatever your meal was. Sometimes it'd be beef stroganoff or Frankfurters or whatever the protein, for lack of a better word, was in these battle meals and these field meals that don't expire. They're good for 40, 50 years. So you can do the math on what's in those. You got this little plastic sleeve that had a little chemical pack in the bottom, and those chemicals, when you poured water in there, would react and heat up. And that you would throw a pouch in there, and that would be a makeshift stove to heat up your meal, which was nice. And if you're going to eat this shit, at least you could get it warm. But that very same device that was meant to provide a warm, sustenance meal could be altered to make a small pipe bomb. Nothing that would hurt anybody, but if you filled it with water and you sealed it off and you dropped it into something else, the bag would slowly fill because of the steam effect, and then eventually, because of the chemicals, it would explode. That man did this and dropped it down the tube of a porta potty. So when it hit the poop water below, I would imagine it made quite a splash. And that's a pretty damn good prank. And I've talked about this before. Like I had sometimes people are dicks in the military, and it's self-regulating, and it's usually like some guy that wants to be cool, like the XO. I had that same experience. He said the drill sergeant let him smoke a cigarette after, and that's how you know this guy sucked. If the drill sergeant rewarded you for the behavior, that's how you know the guy he did it to had it coming. We had a guy in my platoon that was like that. He was just like a little kiss ass, He was in charge of giving everybody. There's 4 squads in a platoon. Okay, I'm gonna relay this out for you. I was a squad leader. There were 3 other squad leaders. My squad had 10 guys in it, about 40 guys in our platoon. Our squad got KP, which is called kitchen patrol. It sucks. You work all day. Instead of going and doing what everybody else is doing, you go and you're basically the kitchen staff for thousands and thousands of people. And this isn't a regular, you're on your knees cleaning grout with a toothbrush. You're there. It's a 20-hour workday. It's gross. You're covered in food and nasty steam. It's hot. Nobody wants to do it. So I was squad 1. We had already done KP. A couple weeks later, our platoon gets kitchen patrol again. I see our squad's up for it again. this is lights out, right? Which right when we're going to bed, I go I go to the XO, this little 5'2", little sawed-off little shit, and I say, hey, man, you got us on KP again. We already did it. You need to take my squad off of this. He was in squad 2. Logically, it would have been his turn. That's why he didn't want to do it. He said, well, if you want it changed, you're going to have to rip that bulletin board off the wall and bring it back here because it's after lights out. So I did. I ripped the bulletin board off the wall. I'm not proud of that. It was not a shining moment for me. I brought it to his bed. He changed it. I put it, and people helped me like bolt it back to the wall as best we could. Wake up in the morning. As we're getting ready, he goes up there and he changes it back, puts my squad back on it with a dry erase board or whatever. So we end up on kitchen patrol. It sucks. I'm pissed off about it. Middle of the day, I hear a drill sergeant screaming my name. This isn't a good sign. I hear, Williams, you fat fuck. Private Fraulein. They called me Private Fraulein because I don't have any hair on my legs. And Fraulein is German for woman. Again, I am not advocating to do this. It is just the truth of what happened in the moment. So he's screaming for Private Fraulein. I know I'm in trouble because I have now identified as Private Fraulein. He comes and gets me. Turns out he was giving some sort of instructional talk about how to change the fuse in a 155 millimeter artillery round. And when he slapped the bulletin board with his little pointer, it fell off the wall and shattered in 2 million pieces. And he saw that the bolts had been ripped out. He asked who did it, and the dude narked on me. The XO guy narked on me. So he came and got me. He's like, you're going with me. I'm taking you out to the hill. Now, the hill is not where you want to go. The hill is a place where you'd run up and down until you threw up. It's called getting smoked in the military. He took me to the hill. He made me run. And I was like, man, I'm going to run up and down this. I'm going to tell him sick. And he goes, no, we're going somewhere else. And he took me to his apartment. And he let me watch Tom and Jerry. I'll never forget this, dude. I watched Tom and Jerry. And at that point in basic training, I hadn't seen the TV. I was doing at least 16, 17 weeks. I haven't seen a television. He gave me a Dr. Pepper. He gave me a lunch meat sandwich. And he's like, if anybody asks, I took you out to the hill and I smoked you all day. And I was like, what's going on? Do I have to have sex with my drill instructor? What's going on right now? Because after this, honestly, at that point, I'd have done it willingly. It would not have been coercion. I was that happy to have that fucking sandwich and watch Tom and Jerry and drink Dr. Pepper. Like, you would be surprised the simple things that will make you happy when you are in that type of high-stress situation for a long period of time. And he goes, no. He took me back so I hung out there for a couple hours. He goes, get in the truck. He took me back. He goes, if anybody ever asks, I smoked your fucking ass for the last 3 hours. And he goes, we all hate that kid too. He sucks. He's the worst kind of person to have in your unit in the Army. You stuck up for your guys. You did what you were supposed to do as a squad leader. Fuck him. And then he narked on you, and he goes, that's the second worst person you can have. Not only did he fuck you over to save his own ass, then he was willing to narc on you. And I was just like, all right, cool. I feel like I got away with one. And so stuff like that. So if the drill sergeant rewards you for the behavior and it was bad behavior, you know that guy sucked. So congratulations to Chris for dropping a bomb down the pipe of a porta potty. And I don't know. If you're a veteran listening to this, feel free to call in. Give me some stories, man. Or just leave something in the comments. I know we've all been there. If you've been in the military, you probably can relate to some of these stories. But I think that's going to do it for today. That was Tank Talks, and we're all having a good time. And we got to hear from Black Tar Heroin, and we got to hear a pretty cool military revenge story. So let's take a quick break from our sponsor, the Phantom Shitter. That's right, the Phantom Shitter. No one knows who it is, and no one ever will. And we are back. Thank you to our sponsors, Black Tar Heroin, Procrastination, and the Phantom Shitter. I appreciate you guys being part of the program. It really warms my heart. And look, this is the wrap up, baby. We talked about some cool stuff. We talked about hair metal bands. We had an impromptu interview with a Canadian listener about growing up in Saskatchewan with Amish neighbors. It was fascinating. You don't want to miss that. We talked about things that are killing us, but we don't care. And we got a nice military revenge story and a check-in for Black Tar Heroin on Tank Talks. I mean, this thing was jam-packed to the gills with all sorts of interesting little tidbits of information. I appreciate everybody who watched live. I appreciate it if you're watching it now, whether you're watching it on Spotify with Megaphone, or if you're watching it on YouTube, or if you're just listening in your little ear holes. If you are listening, though, I'd like to let you know that if you're listening on Spotify, the video is playing concurrently through Megaphone, so you can always pop up your screen and watch it live, too. And you can leave comments on Spotify now. And I know it's cliche to do a podcast and then be like, please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please, I'm begging you. But it does help because it'll get the podcast out there for other people that might be like, what the hell is this anyway? What does the number 2 show even mean? And a lot of times seeing comments from people, if you enjoyed the show and you're liking the content, it helps me grow it. And as I grow it, I can do more cool stuff and I can add more cool features and I can make it a better podcast for all the people that love it already. So I appreciate you listening. Recommend it to a friend. Subscribe, share, leave a positive review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. I appreciate you. I had fun hanging out with you today. Got a lot of cool shit stories out of today. So until next time, this goes out to all my shit hit the fanners. Always wipe front to back. I'm Rafe Williams. This is the number 2 show, and I'll see you next time.